Happy Easter, everyone. It is me, SimplySuperDave, coming at you with another episode of Staying Super with SimplySuperDave, which has a purpose in that title because I'm telling you folks, I live by my words. I don't know how else to say it. And I mean that literally. I'm trying to stay super myself. As you know, I have not dropped a podcast. I have not really been on social media a whole lot this past week because I lost a little piece of my heart. As you may know or may not know, if you know the Simply Super Dave well enough, if you've watched the streams, if you've checked out the TikToks or anything, you know I love animals and I love dogs. Of course, we have little fur babies here at the home, and you might have heard of the great Kevin Bacon. If you've heard about a dog getting a bite on me, it would have been Kevin. And I mean that literally as well. Anyway, this past week, we had to let go of little Kevin. And it was sudden, kind of unexpected. We suspect it was neurological. We did take him to the vet, run some tests, and just not the outcome we were hoping for. But yes, he did have some little seizures, so there was something definitely going on. And whenever you're a recluse, I know with most people they're dogs, and then you have people out there that are like, okay, it's just an animal, whatever, you know. And I get that, and I respect you on that viewpoint. I get it. I know where you're coming from, but because I was raised that way as well. But my thinking and who I used to be as a child and what I was taught was viewed differently by me. And so when I became adult and on my own, I chose how I would treat animals. And that's why I don't hunt, preferably. I do understand where my ribeye steak comes from when I get one, but that's cow, really. And I do enjoy deer meat. I do enjoy hunting. I did enjoy hunting. But like I said, I had a transformed. I had a transformational stage in my life. And I think that was also in like the mid-90s as well. It was the same time when I exited the military. And if you don't know about that, you got to go back and check the previous podcast. That would be one of the early ones, I would think. Mickey Mouse was a lifesaver. What a great story that was. And that's what I love about life. And that's why I like doing these podcasts, to record some memories of my own that, you know, anybody that's ever fond of me, family, relatives, people that love me, can always just tune in to another episode and repeat, maybe catch something you didn't catch the first time. I tend to talk like that, especially when you hear it more deeply later on. You go back and listen to preview, like, well, I know where that's going. And it opens your mind a little bit more, just like a good movie does. You never seem to always get tired of watching it because you always see something new or a different viewpoint from the movie that you didn't see the first time. And that's why I have a love for movies, and why there's so many of them out there today. I can only narrow down on a few. And most of them do have nostalgic backgrounds to them because they come from that generation, you know, that I grew up on. And that creator generation from the boomers, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and so forth. Many Todd McFarlanes out there. Jim Lee Fields. Just so many Jim Lees. So many great artists out on this. I'm just going to stop. Frank Miller. Just so many great imaginative people have influenced my life through comic books and illustrations and through movies and music. These combination of things is what I am made of. And I love how people go, well, movies aren't real and stuff. What is real? If you take a value of a morality tale and you take something from it that could change who you are, then I think that's about as real as it can get. And movies and music can do things like that for us. Before it was really monetized so much back in the early 80s and so forth, actually from the very beginning, but music has always been a great unification for us, a way that we all can feel a moment at the same time, and through a song or lyrics that are written by great songwriters. Prince is one of the greatest songwriters of them all. I kind of wish he was still around. I would love to hear something from him. I love listening to Prince in interviews and things like that. What a great artist, or the artist formerly known as Prince. I love this guy. That guy was amazing. One of my favorite things he said is that there's only one birthday. You only have one birthday. You never really age. It's just a perception. It's just a made up thing. You celebrate that day that you were born, but that's not, that's why he still looks the way he does. And he laughed about it, but hey, good motto right there. Now, a lot of people say, well, look how long he lasted. But he mysteriously indeed, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you can. Go ahead and look it up. Yes, Prince was considered taken care of. But he jumped on a plane and he died before he got down off the plane. And there you go. And if that don't leave enough question marks for you, then there is. Go ahead and read the official stories and go down the rabbit holes. Make up your own mind on that. But Prince was very vocal and very independent, and he was very smart. And he knew how to handle his music and what he did. If you know the Sinead O'Connor song, what was the name of that song? Nothing Compares to You. I had to remember it because there's some other song just popped in my head and made me forget the Sinead O'Connor song. But I came back with it. Nothing Compares to You. Great song. Wonderful. And she was dead on right on Saturday Night Live with the controversial ripping of the Pope picture, as foretold later on, as we've all seen unfold with the Vatican and so forth and the Catholic religion. But yes, that's right. Prince wrote that song. He has wrote so many songs and has enriched other musicians' lives. He never just kept it to himself, and that's what makes some of the best musicians out there the greatest musicians, because they don't just keep it, they don't hoard the talent and the love. They pass it on. Michael Jordan did that with Kobe Bryant, and any player that really, garnered any respect from Michael, and you see, like I said, basketball, music, the same stories exist, the same mannerisms, the way to succeed, to be true to who you are and never follow the rules, because the rules are what you make them to be. I'm not talking about laws and things like that. I'm talking about rules of life, how you deal with things and how things should be dealt with. These are very important things to hang on to when you're trying to stay super in this world, because this super is going to have a lot of evil coming your way, and you got to be able to be strong enough to rise to the moment, to be that person that you are independent, uniquely built to be, whoever it is, regardless of what its viewpoint in modern day society is. Are you a weakling, or are you someone that's vastly impressive that everybody loves? Are you somebody that's forgotten about? Are you somebody that's hated and revered? Whatever it is, that is who you are, and you got to play that role out. Don't back down and feel like you got to be like the people in the ads and main media and the commercials of commercials are amazing. I love commercials. But even as a kid, you knew that what you saw in the commercial wasn't real. You seen it as a child. You're like, oh, if I had that toy, it could fly through space and shoot things. No, that's where the imagination came in, okay? Seeing it on TV made us think it could be real. And so when we get the toy and we realize we got to make the noises and we need to get other ships and things like that, it's that's reality. So to think people need to be so serious about commercials these days is ludicrous to me anyway. Anything on the TV doesn't need to be regulated to the point. I've already mentioned this in previous podcasts before, that there's only one separation to me: children from adults. That's it. Okay, once you become a legal age, you can view and watch whatever you want. There should be a way to do that. I mean, if there's facial recognition with all these machines today, shouldn't it be able to recognize a child from an adult? I mean, are we at that point where we can do something like that? It's already taking pictures of us and knowing what we're thinking before we fucking even scroll to the next page on Facebook. Next thing you know, there's the ad of the very thing that you were just wanting. But did you mention it out loud? Did you mention it to a friend? Then you start realizing this damn thing knows you better than anybody else does. And it will guide you based on its programming. And that's where I think a lot of underlying issues about technology and where it's headed, but the basic freedoms and why there needs to be some guidelines set, and there is an internet law that needs to be placed. But the restrict law, that's something I'm totally against. Don't want to give government any more control than they need to have. And I'm tired of the government being so private when it's a public institution that works for private citizens, which is what you all are, compared to the public servants that take abuse of their job and make them feel like they need to have everything private, like they're superstars that need to be guarded. This isn't that time anymore. Things and walls and things that we always felt like respectful wise we were taught because, that's the way things were. That wall needed to be broken down. And I felt like we did that in the 90s, but I guess we didn't break it down all the way. And here we are finally, because of the internet, being able to unify regardless of where a person lives on this planet, if they have the same urge of freedom, wanting to exist without the overwhelming burden of their governments on their back. It's becoming more than just a thing in the United States. It's a thing that's kind of being felt worldwide as we all realize we're the majority of the cattle here in this herd. And there's only a couple of dogs. But if we all just mustered up what the cows can't seem to do and stick together and run off, we can be as free as we want to be. You got to remember sometimes it's the brainwashing effect that makes the cows realize that they don't need to go anywhere. They're convinced they're safe where they are. That's why you don't really see dogs chasing after cows, unless they're on a cattle drive. But anyway, getting way off topic there. The whole point is there's going to be tough weeks. There's going to be things that can make you cry. Little pieces of your heart's going to get broken along life's way, and that can create villains. I'm talking about a dog, maybe. But John Wick also took the extreme of loving a dog to a degree that I respect way more than I ever thought I would. But we lose people as well. And usually it is a death or the loss of someone, even if they don't die, that can create the good person that we are into the villain that we become. A lot of us are playing a villain role and we don't even realize it. And we think we're doing it out of the morality that's being told to us by leaders who have no idea or clue what kind of world we're really living in. At least most of them. I do have some respect for the few that I did overhear over the past week or two that really have legit questions that I wanted to know answers to, and not ask basic questions of just understanding what was going on, as if they weren't prepared to deal with this. And that seems to be a lot of our leaders, because they're on a different agenda than we are. They're not feeling the heartbeat and the pulse of this country, not caring about what you care about. They're caring about things that only CEOs and billionaires and millionaires care about. They're living a whole different life. They just want to make sure that you're providing what you're supposed to be providing so they don't have to take a pay cut next year. And they can actually give themselves a bonus or a raise for being wonderful leaders that the nation didn't go under this year. But this year's not looking too great. I like to see them get a bonus pass this year and then nobody say anything. But that's just it. They realize nobody can do anything. I'm telling you folks, the voting booth is the only place you can make a difference. Whether you believe that voting is worth it or not, That's the one place you do it. You want to make sure those votes on TV are different than they are every year? Vote besides red or blue. Just pick a third party. I don't care. Randomly go through the list. Just skip Republican and Democrats. You would make the fucking internet break. You would make the world. You would shake the world up. It would be monumental to see that the two parties overthrown by random third-party candidates. You know, all throughout the country, in Congress, the House of Representatives, the presidency. That would be my dream, to see that happen through voting. The basic, simple, only fucking thing you can do, folks, to stay super in our political system, to do your part. I'm not saying this I don't get sponsored. Nobody listens to this thing enough for me to even be important. So when I say these things, I really do mean it, and I do mean this. It is your civic duty. If you care about this country, and you want it to run a certain way, and you want to have your privacies, you want things to be controlled by people and not government, you need to step into a voting booth. If you want to be able to be who you are and have the opportunity to pursue happiness without any restrictions, well, you know, we can't be perfect here, then yes, stepping into the voting booth is very important for you to do. If you want to save lives from a future civil war, then yes, you step into a voting booth. You make yourself heard by just pushing buttons. But along the way, if you want to convince a few of your friends to join along the ride of the red, white, and blue, because we're the white, apparently, because the red and the blues don't seem to care about us. We're the rainbow flags out there that are uniting to finally declare who they are, even though they are a little pushy. I have a whole morality code about sexuality out in public. I believe straight people can't do it. Neither should any other gender person be able to do it. Anything sexualized should not be, publicly displayed. Not saying you can't do it, but it should be not endorsed. That's it. If you want to ignore it. But I don't know. That's a touchy subject right there. But when I speak about sexuality in public, I'm talking about everybody, including straight people. I know the generalization about all that, but like I said, my viewpoints are a little bit different. I am vastly weird, and the point of separating that from everything else, meaning that I don't care what the rules used to be. It's just about, like I said, when you're out in public and like you're at a fair, okay, that's one thing. But if you're at a strip club, that's another. Do you know what I'm saying? The club, out in public, it's totally different. Not saying public out in period. I'm just saying if you're walking in a park, you're out in the mall, you're doing some shopping, you're at the grocery store, you're not making out, you're not showing off anything, you're not trying to be sexual in public, that's all it is to it. There's places to do that, bars and clubs and hotel rooms, and that's back to the motel. Yeah. Big throwback there, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, folks, the whole point of this whole little podcast is to say I am back, and I am trying to stay super myself. And I just want to let you know, with all the crazy stuff going on, don't forget you have the most power in the world, that even when you go down, you can always get back up. You can always resurrect yourself and change who you are. You can step into the word, or you can step into the lie. It all depends on what your vibe is. What energy are you producing? Are you positive or are you negative? Are you balanced? Do you have a little bit of everything? But what are you generating? What are you pushing towards? Who are you trying to become? What legacy are you trying to leave behind? What role are you playing? I hope everyone has a happy Easter, and I hope they celebrate it by remembering. Just simply remembering. Love and laughter conquer hate and fear, folks, so go be a conqueror. Don't be a victim.